Hey all, welcome back to Mega Revolution. Last time we took on the two most questionable bosses stages last time, Saw and Sandman. This time we're going to move in the weakness order, yeah. So we're going to do Pyre Man. This is probably going to be the point where I start talking about the music more, because your ears are about to be blessed or more accurately destroyed by what you're about to hear. You know, for as good as some of the songs in this game are, some of the 8-beat compositions are really good. This one is just god-awful. I'm just gonna... I think I'm actually gonna just pause and let you listen to this. Pain. It truly hurts. Music aside, this stage is probably one of the most boring in the whole game, just straight up. It has, off the top of my head, I can count like 5 empty rooms, or near empty rooms. This first section already doesn't really have much going on. At least the aesthetics are kind of cool, the burning building. And actually, something interesting that was pointed out to me about this screen that I didn't previously know about is that you can get soft lock here, if you're playing as base. If you fall down that screen just like I did, you'll be unable to continue as base because you can't dash through one tile wide spaces, and you can't scroll the screen back to continue for base's path, which is supposed to be the bottom one. So yeah, don't fall down here if you're playing as base. See, just flat on an empty screen here, that's one. Okay, one enemy in a 2-screen wide space. Okay, at least here we have a big guy. The big guys in this game are pretty good, actually. It seems like they aim their like X speed towards you, like X speed aim function, which is pretty good. They look a bit funny, but you know, nothing bad. Now we have tellies, which are of a variant that explode when you shoot them, which is pretty interesting. This segment is kind of fun. Oh, they also explode each other, which good thing I remember to mention that. So this segment is fun. It reminds me of Heat Man, honestly. A lot of this reminds me of Heat Man. So all this is kind of fine and dandy. Okay, empty screen. Almost empty screen. One enemy. For those who don't like revisiting stages, come here after Haste Man because you need the shotgun to break these walls. Empty screen. And this screen has a pretty cool background, so at least, you know, I'll give it props for that. And then these crane enemies that grab you, and you have to kill them, basically. They kind of transport you across the stage. This is pretty cool, actually. I like this. Here's where Acid Bubble gets a chance to shine. It also kills the hot heads in one hit, so that's good use for it as well. So the right side is open here, so you might think, can you go here? And the answer is yes. And there's a hidden item here, which is good. I'm glad that the game uses the space to the right, except it then kind of cancels out that goodness by having another empty screen, or not another opening to the right here, basically, but you can't go here, unlike the previous screen, which literally looked exactly the same. Empty room. I think that's like the 6th empty room. This screen, totally empty. There's an item over here. Get an end tank for your troubles. So yeah, really, this stage is pretty boring. For some reason, this is the only room in the stage that makes use of this mechanic, which, if you couldn't conclude already, you step in this teleporter thing to prevent you from overheating, and then as you go through this segment, your number counts down. As Mega Man, this honestly doesn't amount to anything, because as you just noticed, all you have to do is slide through a corridor. So, really, this doesn't come into play at all. Yeah, honestly, I'm just really disappointed. This is like the stage's only real gimmick, and it's basically useless. As base, it's kind of tricky because you have to go on the upper path and continuously dash to survive, and that's actually kind of tough. So for him, I guess there's a point to it, but as Mega Man, really worthless. And then empty screen with items, and then another empty screen. So that's a total of like 10 billion empty screens, and kind of just a nothing stage. Definitely the most boring level. The only good thing about it is the aesthetics, and the music gives me a headache. Unfortunately, maybe ironically, this boss's Pyre Man is probably the best boss in the game. His pattern is cool. He shoots fire seekers at you, and you have to kind of cleverly slide out of the way to avoid them. I really like this. This is by far the best pattern because it's learnable, it's fair, it's not random, except for how many shots he does, but you know, you can predict around that. So this is lovely. You know, honestly, like classic Mega Man boss material, really. I wouldn't be surprised if something like this was in an official game. Beautiful job here, like 10 out of 10. I'll get to numbering the boss patterns later, but this is awesome. And you jump to make him jump when he's doing that fire attack. So manipulable, learnable, it has it all. It's gorgeous. And it's weak to Sand Shield, which blocks all the fire seekers. So excellent choice of weakness, I think. Although it kind of negates the challenge entirely, but hey, that's what a weakness is supposed to do, I guess, to some degree. So, good boss, awful stage. Tragic. Now, Fire Seeker is a mid to upper tier weapon. It's kind of like, what can I compare it to? It's Thunderbolt, but it detects enemies, and once it's on the same... Actually, it's like Magnet Missile and Thunderbolt combined. It seeks out enemies and then splits into two. So, it's kind of like, yeah, an amalgamation of Magnet Missile and Thunderbolt. It's pretty useful. It's quite good in certain segments of this game, if you know how to use it. And it comes in handy, you know, a good enough amount. This game only has like a very limited amount of totally dud weapons, which I think the only weapon I would consider to be outright bad is Storm Man's, which is why I always do him last, because I never found any use for Storm Chaser, but I'll get to that later. So fire against ice, as you know, logic would lead you to believe. So Cryo Man next, and this sprite looks quite ugly, but you know, that's whatever. The music in this stage is also not only not memorable, but just kind of funny sounding. You can use Fire Seeker right away on these annoying spiky enemies. Kills them in one hit. Pretty good use. You need it for the boss though, so don't waste all of it. You can also use Acid Bubble. So. This game's weapons get a lot of use if you're clever. But these spiky enemies, I mostly like them, except for the fact that the tell for when they shoot the spikes is just not there, so just suddenly they fire the spikes, and really all this needed was a telegraph. That's it. Empty screen. And now time for a segment with a bunch of Mets, which also have the property of not opening when you're shooting, which makes this a lot more annoying to do no damage. You can just let them walk off here, I guess. But... so the platforming there is fine. One thing I didn't actually realize at first is that you can't get to this energy tank with rushed oil, which is nonsense. They easily could have lowered this platform to, like, right here. So I honestly don't understand why that decision was made. Anyways, here's the mini-boss. Its name is Break-In, if I remember correctly. Pretty much all it does is it moves back and forth and shoots at you, and when it detects you're on the same X-coordinate as it falls down like this. But as you're seeing here, it's pretty goddamn manipulatable, because you can just stand under it and it'll go down repeatedly and never do anything else. This is definitely what you want to do in a no-damage run, because it makes it easy to kill. But, you know, Sand Shield, again, to show off how powerful it is, deletes all of the shots of the mini-boss. It's pretty glorious. And like I said, the music slows down here, which is interesting. I like it. One thing I don't like, though, is this Freeze Man enemy section, which really is just filler. This adds nothing to the stage, and for some reason the enemy didn't activate there. Maybe I didn't go fast enough. But yeah. Oh, and now I killed it, and I have to rekill it. This segment had no reason to be here. This doesn't add anything to the stage. It's forgettable. It's boring. And I'm glad this was removed. I'm pretty sure in Remix. This has already been removed in Revolution Remix. Which is good, because it serves no real use here. Moving on. The background elements of this stage are a bit weird. I'm not sure what all those shiny graphics were supposed to be. I failed. If you fail that jump, you're going to need a coil or something to get back up. But as this little paw would lead you to believe, this is Tango, who doesn't see much use, honestly. He's not very useful. But what is useful is Beat, and he's like a maverick in this game. He destroys enemies. Like, holy crap, look at him go. I honestly don't use Beat all that much, but you can, and you get good use out of him. But I forgot to talk about these Hockey Joes, too busy talking about Beat. These only show up in this one room in the whole game. They are criminally underutilized for no reason. Makes me sad. It really does. Now you got your new mechanic, which is Mets popping out of ice, which is a fun surprise. And predictably very annoying for doing a no damage run, because they'll just pop out and ruin your day. But as far as the surprise element goes, I like that. It's fun. It's cool. At least this stage doesn't have like a criminally high level of totally empty screens, but these last screens are like kind of devoid of things, just like a single Met. Anyways, Cryo Man. One of the fairer bosses in the game, except really the only thing I would change about it is that he randomly determines whether he's going to fire 1 or 2 ice beams, his main weapon. And if that were removed and the number kept consistent, then this wouldn't be as bad. But as it stands, your strategy is to slide under the first one and immediately jump, just in case he does a second one, just like you're seeing me do right now. Because sometimes it'll split like that, and you'll be screwed over. And the secondary gimmick of this fight, as you're probably noticing, is that he destroys the walls and gradually becomes impossible to dodge him. So it's kind of a rush fight, basically. Kill him as fast as possible. Which is a pretty unique mechanic, I'll give you that. I haven't seen another boss that does something quite like this. And I ran out of Fire Seeker, but he's a pretty good option for going after first, because he takes quite a lot of damage from the Buster. I'll just show that off here. For my no damage run, I actually did him first, so that's why you're seeing that I know exactly how to do this. One of the better fights, a little bland, but, you know, at least not as random as the nonsense we saw for Saw and Sandman. A very meh stage. Pointless segments, really underutilized enemies at points, but not awful, just kind of lacking. Lackluster is actually a good word to describe quite a few of the stages and elements of this game, unfortunately. Before I head out for this video, I think I'll get the most useful shop upgrade. And yeah, you can really see that the issue I pointed out at the beginning. We only have 118 bolts after all of that, and the total cost of all of these would be nearly 300, so I'd really like to know why exactly these are so expensive. Anyways, if you have to choose between getting any of these, get the power generator, because it increases your ammo amount for all the weapons, and that's never unhelpful. Well, we'll take on the next two next time. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, this is Xeno signing off. See you next time for more Mega Man Revolution.